The Vikings 42-21 win over the Falcons. Sam Darnold had the best day of his career today. Best game of Sam Darnold's career. I felt like he entered the MVP discussion. Now, Josh Allen's going to win the MVP. But Sam Darnold, at least when you're mentioning other guys who can be in the conversation, I think Sam Darnold has entered that conversation. He was so good today, Ziggy, that even the most jaded, scarred Vikings fans like us may actually start to believe. This was the kind of performance where we looked at the television, kind of raised an eyebrow and went, oh my God, do we have something here? It was that good. 5 touchdowns, 347 yards, 157.9 passer rating, the highest in Vikings history. A little cool fact that I saw, he's the first quarterback since Jim Hart in 1973 to have a start with a passer rating over 150 after never having one over 130 in his first 6 NFL seasons. So again, just kind of showing where Sam Darnold has come from to where he's at right now. Justin Jefferson, 7 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jordan Addison's been a monster lately. 8 catches, 133, and 3 touchdowns for him. I mean, this was just an unbelievable performance from the Vikings that will no doubt wind up breaking our hearts at the end of the season, because all of a sudden I'm like, shit, I believe.
Well, I mean, Sam Darnold and Jordan Addison, big reason to celebrate today and ball out. USC going to the Las Vegas Bowl. They'll play Texas A&M. So, I mean,
so they were jacked up.
They were jacked up. I mean, they were jacked up, ready to go. Nice little trip to Vegas, see our old squad playing their bowl game. So I like the Vikings today. I did lay the points minus 6.5. So everybody all week, I had a lot of people sending me messages over Snapchat and text. They liked Atlanta today, plus a 6.5. Kirk Cousins, his revenge game, coming back to Minnesota. Whereas the other side of the ball was Sam Darnold, the new quarterback on this team. Minnesota, let's go show Kirk Cousins and the Falcons now that we're better off here without you. Mm-hmm. In our home stadium, you're not coming back here and beating us. And I was getting on Minnesota's case recently for not really passing the eye test, but today watching them against a decent Falcons team, game was tied at 21 for a
going
bit.
into the fourth quarter.
It was a good game. And then looking like a team who can win a Super Bowl in the last 15 minutes. I was very impressed that he hanging 42 points and 21 in the fourth quarter.
Well, as you talk about Kirk Cousins, I think it's worth mentioning for our fan base. The last quarterback to go 4 straight games throwing no touchdowns and at least 8 interceptions, Brett Favre, 2005. It's like Kirk Cousins is not having a great season. And as you said, obviously
great. Another Viking great.
But 2005 was not exactly his greatest year. Like, you can look at the numbers, and the numbers obviously say that Sam Darnold guy is playing pretty good, that Kirk Cousins guy is having a rough season. But Paul, you and I talked about this during the game. The thing that was so amazing wasn't just that Sam Darnold was like having better stats and throwing more touchdowns or whatever than Kirk Cousins. The way he was doing it. When the Falcons pass rush got in, and he avoids rushers and instead throws like a 50-yard bomb to Jordan Addison or a 40-yard bomb to Justin Jefferson. His ability to produce out of the script and take full advantage of the fact that we've got some of the best receivers in the entire NFL who can get free if you give them enough time on basically any play. As Vikings fans, we haven't seen that from a quarterback in some time. It's been a long time since we've seen a quarterback able to do that. And for Sam Darnold to do it in such a big game, I mean, I know that the Falcons were 6-6 going into this. I know the Vikings were big favorites, but we're still battling for the division. We're trying to make it so in week 18, when we go to Detroit, if we win, we have a chance to get the division and potentially the 1 seed after what we saw from Philadelphia today. I think this really was a statement win. Winning the game, how they did it, seeing the offense produce. And yeah, like you said, I'm starting to believe in this team. I'm starting to expect a playoff run. And that's always when things start to go south for the Vikings. They're not mathematically in the playoffs yet. So there's still a chance we miss the playoffs and all of this is for naught. But It was a great day.
Yeah, of course. I've also been laughing at the graphics where you see the NFC playoff picture. I'm like, we're 11-2 right now, and we're a game and a half out of our own division. It's unbelievable in that regard. But this game, like, as I was watching it, the announcers kept talking about how the Vikings have the most explosive deep play offense this year. And I didn't really feel like that as a Vikings fan when I'm watching the Bills, like watching that Bills Rams game today, or you watch the Ravens. there's so many big plays that those offenses produce, the Lions as well, where it just didn't feel like we would have been leading that category. And today, I mean, it was like you couldn't miss it. Darnold I think he had 2 or 3 throws over 30, 40 yards, and it felt like more than that. But today was the first day where watching Darnold, I was thinking to myself, like, all right, this guy's playing with fire. Like he looked MVP good today, and we haven't seen that really since the start of the season. I think we've seen it the past 6 quarters going back to the Cardinals game, but this shift in Sam Darnold from the Jaguars' performance, the Bears, he was good. He was good, not great. We're starting to see that first half of the year Darnold again. And that's what the NFL is about, guys. It's peaks and valleys. It's ups and downs. Everyone was so quick to get on them after they stopped looking like the 5-0 team at the beginning of the season. Well, hey, this is December football. And if you look like that this now, that's when you got to say, all right, watch out. Ziggy, I'm sorry, did you raise your hand?
I was raising my hand as I'm one of the people who jumped on this team and said there's no way they're not playing up to their record. And the thing about this Vikings team, I know every Vikings fan is having flashbacks to just a few years ago where they won a bunch of one-score games, and then the Giants came in and absolutely rolled us in the playoffs for no reason. But the way the Vikings are winning one-score games this year, if you actually watch them, this is what I've come to see, it's totally different.
Oh,
the one score. No, Paul, I've changed my mind. Well, can you got to be willing to update your mind when you get new evidence. Well, here's the difference.
I said exactly what I said.
Well, here's the difference, right? It's when the Vikings are winning one-score games a few years ago, it was miraculous comebacks, last-second touchdowns, whatever. Look, Paul, I'm sorry. You were right. You were correct.
Okay.
This year, what it is the Vikings are playing good football. Teams catch up close to the end, and then the Vikings run away with it again.
This is how they get you, by the way. Like, this is how it works. You think, like, we're very comfortable where we are. We're going, like, yeah, going into this game, we're good. We know we're a good football team, but you can't set the expectations too high. And then they have a game like this, and you're like, screw it. I'm all in. This is how you get hurt. But, hey, you know what? I got to be along for the ride.
I think a large part of today, and this is no knock to, I think Darnold's a very good quarterback. Was I believe that he was very, very up to play against Kirk Cousins, like being the old quarterback for this team coming into the building. I think Darnold had something to prove here today, like playing with a big time chip on his shoulder. Because Kirk's the opposing quarterback.
Kirk was on, too, to start the game.
Kirk to start the game was solid.
And then it kind of unraveled as it went on. But this is another thing when, like, this felt like a real validation of the Vikings' decision to move on from Kirk, who's been struggling a lot. I mean, Ziggy, you pointed out that stat just a couple minutes ago. But Sam Darnold's making $10 million this year, and Kirk Cousins is on a $184 million contract right now. What you're able to do with that difference, like that money, I mean, you're able to bring in guys like Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman. The Vikings are undefeated when Cashman plays. He's missed 2 games this year, and they're 0-2. He's been any Viking fan who watches knows he's been a huge difference maker. Jonathan Grenard's been one of the highest impact players to come over. Stephon Gilmore's out right now, but he's been great. We'll see what happens with Sam Darnold. The future is still kind of murky on his time in Minnesota going forward. But, hell, if he plays like this, for the next 4 weeks.
We'll just put in Daniel Jones next year, and he'll do the same thing.
DJ.
350 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, there was that last quarter and a half today. They looked like they were unstoppable.
Oh, and the thing that was crazy. They were just launching the ball.
Yeah,
they were legit. Like, he would just drop back. I was like, where did this? I guess we've been doing it all year according to the stats, but this was an onslaught that we haven't seen, and it gets you really confident going forward. It is unfortunate that they're still not in a spot to be a division favorite at the moment. But hey, all you can do is win the games ahead of you. And if Detroit slips up one with the way the Vikings have played, I just hope they're in a position, like you said, Ziggy, to compete with Detroit for potentially the 1 seed in the last game of the season. I mean, that would just be a ton of fun.
No, you know what's going to happen is, and I'll say this right now, we can go back to this clip in a few weeks, is it's typical Vikings to go and lose to the NFC South champion in the playoffs. Like they'll lose.
Oh, like lose at Tampa.
Like they'll go and lose at Tampa or Atlanta. Yeah.
No, I know.
That's how the season's going to end. Like, you guys win the battle, Kirk wins the war.
Oh, I don't think that. I think the Bucs are going to the playoffs.
Yeah, the Bucs probably are going to the playoffs. Yeah.
I'm not scared of this Falcons team. The Bucks, Baker Mayfield, I can see it. After this,
You lose.
I don't have it in me to be afraid of the Falcons.
I actually think as well, another thing that I took away from this game is that Kevin O'Connell really has to be considered for coach of the year. Dan Campbell's been amazing in Detroit, but everyone knew the Lions were going to be very good. And Campbell's been awesome. I think is he currently the favorite? Probably.
I'm sure he is.
And then, Dan Quinn and the Commanders, Mike Tomlin, the Steelers, you guys are exceeding expectations. Jim Harbaugh has been great in his first year with the Chargers, but think about the Vikings coming into the season. They were supposed to be bad. And Sam Darnold, no one believed in him. The only people who believed in him were Vikings fans who were lying to you, saying that they were hoping that you could get the most out of him.
I had him going 5-0.
Oh, no, you did.
I actually might have had 11-2.
But
I think you had exactly 11-2 at this point. But you had him losing to the Falcons for that second loss.
No, I hadn't beaten the Falcons, I think.
I thought you said Kirk Cousins revenge angle.
No, I didn't.
Jack has no idea what he had.
No, I want to go back to that show and see what I predicted.
That was funny, that show. But look, at 11-2 right now, with the expectations they had compared to all the teams in the league, from what you expected of them coming into the season to where they are right now, it's amazing what's happening in Minnesota. And, I know we're Vikings fans, so we're going to be pretty biased in some of our reactions. But this really today was the kind of game where you just felt great for Sam Darnold. It was awesome watching him go out there and look like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Complete control. So we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks, guys.
You think they're going to a nice steak dinner tonight out in Minneapolis?
Oh yeah,
Most likely, right?
I think this is a big celebration night in Minneapolis.
Have some steak, a little bit of wine.
Next week, Bills go to Detroit and the Vikings host the Bears on, I believe, Monday Night Football. So if Detroit, you know what'll happen. Detroit will lose to Buffalo and the Bears. Caleb will come in and beat us on Monday Night Football. But we just need one loss, Ziggy. Just open the door. Give us a shot. Give us a shot at the division. That's all we're asking for right here.